stone here just at me. And what they would do is they would pick holes in the stone in a line. Now, I have them spread out a lot wider, but it would be normally they would do it a hand width apart. And they would pick all these holes in a straight line, and they would get these big steel wedges. And then there was a technique which they called bottoming out, which a stonemason would come along, not too similar from this, with a punch, a long punch, and he would sit down on the rock all day long, punching along and deepening the holes. And the idea of that was so the bottom of the steel of the wedge didn't touch the granite. Because the idea here is to split a rock, it's to force it away, force it out, not pressure down, and that would split the rock. Now there's a going way in granite, especially here in Ballyknocken. We have this going way where they cut the stone with the sun to their back. So the sun's rising over here, so the quarry men worked that direction. Because the beds, when they came up out of the ground millions of years ago, the rock pushed up, and it's almost like lying on these angles. So for them to follow that bed, if they weren't following from this with the sun on their back, you're coming in against it, so you're working into it almost like a V, and it's absolutely impossible. You wouldn't get any going on it. So that's why this quarry here quarries away from the rising sun. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to get maybe some plugs and feathers. Maybe someone would swing a sledge, would there, Des, do you think? Yeah. Is there anyone here who would have experience swinging a sledge? Maybe John and Donald Cullen, would they come in here for a minute, would they? Now, the Cullens have a massive history in Ballyknocken with stone as well, and their Uncle Pat, he ran this quarry here for years, for the Credence from the 60s on, and Pat was a very, very knowledgeable stonemason. John worked here, Donald worked here. We all worked here together during the 90s. We were all here in the quarries when the Creed group had it then, and they were doing big government jobs, and we were all here as young men at that time working along at the stone. So we're going to set this up now, and the idea here is we're going to split open the stone. We use a plug and a feather. So there's your plug. That's the piece of metal that goes in the centre. And then we have two feathers, which they're called, which are two slim bars that go each side of it. Now, they follow a certain direction. You put the plug and the feather in, and they have to follow a line. So as you start sledging on the centre plug, it will start cracking it'll jump from one to the other to the next. So, and you'll hear a sound of a crackling sound. It's like Rice Krispies and milk being poured in, and that's when you know the stone is starting to split. And the idea is gently to go along it. Same, you start, for say, on your left and work to your right, and back to the left and back to the right, and gently bring it on. Now here's two sledges here. The weapons of mass destruction. Now, just another point on this is the sledges, the quarrymen, they had up to 56-pound sledges. So here we go. So tightening them up now, and you'll hear the sounds. There you go. Don't miss like I did last year. That's the sound. Isn't that beautiful sound to hear that? Now there would have been, you could have 15, 16 plugs in a block, and you could have 3 or 4 men working this, and that's the sound. You could hear that pinging around this village years ago. There you go now. Is it treading, Donald? John's treading. What treading means is when a crack starts to jump between one plug and another. Here's John's, he's after beating Donald now, he's got his split. Here we go. Drive it on, John, drive it on. Hey! Donald got the hard one. Now he's treading too now, so the crack is formed here in Donald's stone. And he's going, well, that was a common thing. Like, I mean, you're sledging all day and you're tired. Like, you're moving around, and sledges, and they slip sometimes off the wedges and stuff like that. And here we go now. Donald's ready. Here, drive it on, Donald. Here we go. Go on, keep going. She should fall open. There we are. There. Lovely piece of oatmeal, Ballyknocken granite. Thank you very much, John O'Donnell, for that. But if you can imagine now, they would be working on quite larger pieces than that. They could have blocks of maybe 15, 20 plugs, even more in it. and they're starting to ping down along it. And they were always, it's not about bullying the stone, it's about taking your time, and they'd be there, and they'd be, they'd sledge along it, and they'd be there, oh yeah, we were in Zellers last night, no, I was in Cullens. There was a rock night in Cullens. I'd come the pipe and the foot would go up, and well, what was it like? Oh Jesus, I don't know what to talk about. The head's a bit sore this morning. And then they'd hit their brake, and off they go again, splitting away. And when they got it down to split down to pieces like this, then it had to come out of quarry, and hence the crane was involved, winches that we do have in the yard there, and they tied it up and they dragged it out of the quarry, and then they would have to start making it. And there's always a going way in granite, and that's the easy way to carve it. And when the block is split down, if the going way is sort of down the face, the quarry man, he'd know where the going way was, because he's after doing this. But the stonemason, the elite, the man up in the shed, the guy that thought he was better than everyone else in some cases, he didn't know where the going way was. So if he didn't have a good relationship with the quarry man, well, then the quarry man would go, well, I'm not going to cut that stone so the going way's on the large face, and he'll have a handy day putting a big face in the stone. I'm going to cut that the other way, and that'll teach him, and then they bring it up. So you have to have a good relationship with him, because the last thing you wanted was an awful hard day's work ahead of yourself, because when you work stone with the going way, it's so easy. It's just a matter of getting into a rhythm, and off you go. You almost don't have to think about it. But if you're on the crossway, or the crassway they called it, that's when you had to fight the stone all day long. So that's just a little bit about that. So how are we for time here? So we have Barry Canan down in the shed down here, and we have it set up for a bit of music. So we want to make our way down there, and he's going to do some songs he wrote himself about the history of Ballyknocken and the people, and we'll just have a listen to Barry down there now. So thank you very much. Afterwards we will be doing a raffle, because we do have that sundial, and it needs to leave here. It's a Ballyknocken granite sundial. It's got a lovely slate top on it, and one of your gardens needs this, believe me. Okay, thank you very much.